the City of New Carlisle Council for September 21st, 2020. We're running a little bit late and a little bit behind, and we apologize for the inconvenience. At this point, if Mrs. Berner will give me a roll call.
Sure. Mayor Lowry is absent. Councilman Grimm.
Here.
Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Here.
Councilman Cobb.
Here.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Here.
And Vice Mayor Cook.
Here.
That is 5 members present.
All right, and the invocation will be by Councilman Cobb.
Dear Heavenly Father, help us make the right decisions for the citizens and the community. Watch over and protect our firefighters and EMS and our law enforcement. Help us get through this virus, and watch over our military men and women of our military, and watch over their families. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. And Mr. Grimm, if you will bring your flag out. Are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
To the
to
flag
the flag
of the
of
United
the
States
United
of
States of
America,
America,
to the republic
to the republic
for which it
which
stands,
stands
under God,
one nation, under God,
God.
indivisible, with liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all. Beautiful.
All right. I need action on the minutes of the special meeting of 8/27. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Eggleston Nowakowski.
That was the way I saw it.
Okay.
All right, Mrs. Berner?
Okay. Councilman Cobb.
Yeah,
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
abstain. I haven't been able to read it.
Okay.
I just now got it.
Okay. Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
All right, that motion is passed 401. Move on to the other ones. This special meeting from August 31st.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, good to call the roll. The vote.
Good.
Okay. Councilman Cobb.
yes,
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Abstain for the same reason.
Okay. And Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
All right, that's accepted 401.
And you've got work session 9/8/20.
So moved.
Second.
First with Eggleston, second with Nowakowski. Councilman Cobb.
yes,
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Abstain for the same reason.
Okay. And Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
All right.
And
That's
moving on to the regular meeting of 9/8.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Councilman Cobb.
yes,
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Abstain. I think you know why.
Yep. And Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
All right. That's also accepted 401. We're done with all
All
that.
right. Moving on to communications, I don't know that we've got any. Okay, city manager's report.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Cook, and City Manager report for this meeting. We will begin with, let me get my notes out here. So I would like to welcome back someone very, very special in our administration. So tonight for our first official meeting, we have our new finance director, Mrs. Colleen Harris. Mrs. Harris was employed with us, and then she went to Yellow Springs, and then we had her come back. Ms. Harris, it is fantastic to see your smiling face in our office every day, and we are very honored that you have come back to give us your expertise. So without further ado, council, I would like to introduce Ms. Harris as our finance director, and she will be going over her financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge, and thank you, council. I am excited to be back, and I'm looking forward to just going over what I love to do, which is the finance reports and helping to explain and answer any questions that we'll have. So since this is my first meeting and I'm not sure what you're used to having as presentation, I'm going to give you my overview, and then I have all the monthly reports that you get for review, and we can go over any questions that you have. So to not keep it going very long, the cover sheet, the financial report summary that I attached, we'll go over the top left. The $5,985,238 is our estimated revenue that we put together last year when your budget was presented on what we believe our revenue is going to be. The top right square is the appropriations, or the budget that the council approved last year. That budget is $8,234,032. The next two squares going down on the left side is your monthly report of your revenue that we receipt every month, January, February, March, etc., through December. So we're going over this month, the month of August. We receipted $1,439,498.37. That brings a total of revenue receipted to date of $5,653,624.35. Going back up again to the top where we estimated receiving $5,985,238, we are going to exceed that estimate by the end of the year. We're at about 94% of our estimated collections at this point. Moving to the right side, middle column is our month-to-date expenditures, January through December. So for the month of August, we spent $754,402.59 for a total year-to-date of $5,070,175.19. That is only expending about 62% of our appropriations, which at this point we should be around that 67, so we're right on track. The next column is your statement of cash. That's basically your, it's like a bank account. It has your beginning balances of all our funds, what we've spent year to date, what we've received year to date, what we have encumbered, and what our ending balance. The ending balance is $3,947,165.67. And at the bottom, the auditors always like us to have the bank reconciliations to show you that we have reconciled everything up to date for current year. There are no differences. Everything is balanced to the penny. And going through the rest of our monthly reports, which is all the breakdown detail. So at this point, that is what I have prepared for my finance report, and I'll entertain any questions that you might have. Yes, Mr. Dale.
You said we're at 90% of what we are expecting to receive.
From the top left, yes. When your budget was presented to you last year, they were estimating to receive $5,985,238. That's your estimated revenue. And
So
to date, we've received the 5.6.
Okay. Sorry, I'm hitting this cold.
You're fine. That's what I'm here to help answer questions.
So this is not hitting us as hard as we thought it would have.
It is not at this point, and we're monitoring everything from COVID. Last year, this time last year, we were at about the same, a little less. We were at 5,521,000. So I pulled the report to compare to this year. We are right on track with our revenue. We're a little higher, but we've received some money for a loan for a clarifier, and that puts revenue on the books. Not to go into a lot of detail, we're on track for what we had last year. Last year, we did exceed also our estimated revenue, and that is standard. We usually try to budget around a lower figure estimating revenue and keeping within our appropriations to try to make sure that we have good, healthy books at the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Ridge.
Mrs. Harris, thank you for getting that number when I called you earlier, about 20, well, how long ago it was. What was that number you said? Sorry, I didn't catch all that.
For this time last year,
Yeah.
the revenue that we received was $5,521,241.
Okay. So me and Vice Mayor had a pretty lengthy call today on the phone. I just wanted to clear some things up. So when you look at the top right of the finance report where it says 2020 original budget is 8.2 million, that is what we appropriated to spend. So that is no way indicative of what revenue we bring in, nor is it a comparison to revenue that we brought in. So that is just what in 2020 council had approved us to spend. So monthly, I've been giving council the CCA updates with just our income tax collections. And I did get that updated late today. We are still off around 9% just for the income tax collections. But I think there were some things said earlier that the city's off a lot of money, and it's truly not impacting us to date. I think when I was talking with that, I think some numbers got mixed up and confused. So we really need to focus on that revenue side of things. So we need to focus on the left side of the column here if we're going to compare our revenue compared to what we had last year with the coronavirus. Now, Ms. Harris did state we did have a lot of revenue that we received due to a loan. So when we take out a loan to fix something at the wastewater plant or even at the water plant, any loan that we take out, whatever funds it for, we have to receive that loan proceeds as a revenue. And then we wash it out with as expense. So that kind of just washes itself out. But the state of Ohio does require us to put that in revenue. So sometimes the revenues can be misleading if we have a lot of financing going in to inflate those numbers. But for this particular year, we just had that clarifier financing. So all in all, we're not hardly impacted with COVID as we thought. We still have some remaining months to come and we still have to get through the fall. But I'm still going to stick with our about 10% off on just the income tax collections. And we'll see how the rest of it unfolds with our revenue collections, with our water plant, our wastewater plant, and so forth. And especially our gasoline tax, since the state did up that last year. But as we know, when people are not going to work, they're not going out and driving. So as the year unfolds, we'll have a better indication of where we're at. But it's not hit us as hard as we thought it originally was going to, which is a good thing. So Ms. Harris, thank you for giving such a comprehensive report. And if the council has any questions or want to clarify anything, please just let us know.
Water revenue was, last I heard, was doing pretty well. We just had a few holdouts that thought they didn't have to pay. Is it still coming in pretty good?
I think the water revenue side of things is doing okay. The wastewater is what we're going to be focusing on. And I don't have anything, and well, we do have the revenue report for the wastewater. Maybe Harris can find it quicker than I would. But we looked at that not too long ago, and I think the water was actually up compared to the wastewater, but that is also because the water department had a series of rate increases go into play, and we did increase the sewer rates. So that's why, and the sewer rates, and Mr. Kicko, please interject me if I'm saying anything wrong. And the sewer rates are based off an assumption of the water rates. So it's very feasible to have 100 gallons of water and you're going to bill you for 100 gallons of sewer, but yet since the water rates are high, you're going to bring in more revenue just because of the how they're charged and with the rate they're charged. Wastewater is definitely an area of concern.
We provide wastewater services for a lot of communities that are not in the city. How are their rates figured if they're not getting city water?
Mr. You can take that.
Yeah, one of our section is sewer only, and they are based on 175 gallons per day. It's just a flat rate. The mobile home parks, we base it off, they have water meters for their mobile home parks, and then they read those meters. We take those readings. So that's kind of not city water, but their water metered. We get billed for those. And then Northampton is metered, which we have to redo their meter, but they are metered also at their lift station, which Northampton collects Northwestern Local Schools, Chateau Estates Mobile Home Park. So we do collect, but everybody really is metered in some way, shape, or form, except for the sewer only, which is your Quail Ridge, just north of the golf course. There's no water out there. They're all on separate wells and things like that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kitco. Any other questions? Sorry, Mr. Cook.
Excuse me a minute. Hello?
Okay, Mrs. Harris, have you got anything more?
I do not at this time unless you have any questions.
Welcome back, Colleen.
Thank
That's
you.
good. Good to see you.
It's good to see everyone too.
Vice Mayor Cook, am I good to proceed, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. And moving on to the service report, our service director, Mr. Howard Kitco.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Good evening, Vice Mayor and members of council. We'll start underneath Public Works Departments. And Church Street curb repair on my last report was supposed to start in the next week or two. That got delayed. We had our mechanic, which is one of our lead concrete guys, had to do some pretty extensive repairs on our back truck, which on and off took about a week or so. And then we've been working on our bucket truck, which is another critical piece of ours, that we do tree trimming, light bulb change outs, things like that. So we've ordered, got the concrete, everything's requested to start that project. So my guess that could be, I hate to say next week or two, but it's coming up for sure. We're gearing up for leaf pickup season. We are currently contacting farmers because one, we're losing Studebakers. Two, we're losing scarfs. We have not really heard back if they're willing to take leaves. We have given some to the golf course. We've given some to private individuals that take them by the truckload. But it's becoming hard to find a place to dump leaves.
Community garden. The community garden. Don't forget the garden.
Well, we do plan on dropping some off there, but we have a lot of trucks. What we bring to you guys is a drop in the bucket. But for sure, you guys will definitely be getting them. Fenwick Kennison, major repair to be completed. The private contractor that we will be using, they got delayed about 3 weeks or so. So we just confirmed with them last Thursday that they will be starting here in a couple weeks. Decorative lights, I don't know if anybody's noticed, they were burning on down by CVS, Abe's End Treasures area. They were burning day and night. We went and looked, had a bad contactor go. We shut them off. So the company that we use to change the bulbs in the decorative lights, do things like that, it is on order. And we would day burn them to have them burn day and night, but we're afraid of starting a fire with this unit, deciding it wants to pull out all of a sudden. So we're going to leave those off and hopefully it gets in within the next couple days. Water department, just another update, sanitary survey. We did have that inspection completed. We're supposed to have that report in the next couple days that we will be handing off to the EPA, and I will be updating council with that report as soon as I get that. And we will be winterizing the pool for the season that's coming up for the water department. They're trying to tie up some loose ends this fall before we get into winter. Wastewater, obviously, we've done some major repairs, and the big thing to come is consumer rate adjustment discussion coming soon, as we had talked just briefly in the work session about what's to come. 2020 road surfacing project, all the roads are complete. They just completed the fogging for Hillcrest and Tal Schroyer. So if anybody's interested in what a chip seal with a fog on top of it looks like, it is on Tal Schroyer Hillcrest. It is not the top choice for a road repair, but we're willing to give this a shot for a road that does not get much traffic, does make it black, does smooth it out somewhat, and see how well it lasts. That area was only just under $8,000 to do both those streets and short drive. So, you know, it's a good test, not much traffic and not much speed associated with that road. Traffic signal upgrade project. They're kind of in limbo right now for about a week or so. There was a couple issues they had with the coordination of getting the old poles out when we were getting them switched. Well, I'm not sure if anybody's heard, but there was a serious or a critical issue with an individual he had passed away via DP&L or a contractor for DP&L, and they had an emergency stand down. So we could not switch out the signal last week due to that, because they're the ones who will switch power for that signal. And then with that, tomorrow you'll see A&A safety in. I just got these updates today. I apologize. A&A safety will be starting the striping, crosswalk lines tomorrow. And hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we will have that project finished up. And that is all I have on my report. And I could entertain any questions on the report or anything you might have outside of it.
Mr. Kitco,
Sir.
anything happening on the stumps out of Smith Park?
Those are working in between these other tasks that we have going on. Dave has taken down, I think, 2 so far. We got some dirt piles there that will eventually be kind of flattened out, but we are slowly working on those.
Okay. Go ahead, Peg.
Mr. Kitco, have all of the lights been swapped out with the LED?
I believe so. We have been invoiced for such, so I believe they have. I don't know if Mr. Bridge has heard a total confirmation, but as I've driven through town, I haven't seen another style still left.
Okay.
We actually have a email on that we'll get to, and the questions and answers from the citizens that we'll address here momentarily. But yes, they are done.
Anybody else? Moving on.
Well, thank you, Vice Mayor Cook. And please forgive me, but I got some great administrators, and we all work very long days on council days. So Mr. Kitco or Mrs. Harris, if you are wanting to log out so you can get your evening started, you're more than welcome to. Just go ahead and just log yourself out, stop your video, and enjoy your evening. And thank you for such a long day today. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And moving on, and the same for the rest of the fire chief and also Mr. Hutchinson. When you're done with your report, feel free to log out should you choose to, so you can enjoy your evening as well. Moving on with the fire report, our fire chief, moving on with our planning and zoning report, our planning director, Mr. Hutchinson. You're muted.
You're muted, Jared.
All right. How about that?
Good.
All right. I'll try to get through this. I'm having a poor connection tonight, so I do apologize ahead of time. Planning and zoning so far this year to date, we have 95 approved zoning permits. It's a little under what we normally are at this time. So the COVID pandemic didn't hurt us too bad in the zoning. I mean, I guess more people were home, so maybe more projects got done than maybe would have without that. So we're doing good on that in that department. Code enforcement, we had 113 violations in the month of August. And like Vice Mayor Cook said on those reports that I give you in the packets there, that's a breakdown of the number of violations, what types of violations they were, and then also addresses that were associated with those. So that gives you a better look inside of these areas are at and what type of violations that we're seeing out there. We currently are, if you notice on that list, we are still mainly addressing items that are not hard on the pocket for our residents right now, as far as structural related things. A lot of it is junk debris, tall grass, vehicles, dilapidated swimming pools, parking the grass, that type of issues is primarily what we're dealing with now. We are working on the update that will be brought to the planning board this fall, which will eventually come to you guys for a rewrite in the exterior property maintenance code. That will include the civil fine process that we'll be discussing. Did anybody have any questions on the report there for the code enforcement violations?
No questions. I appreciate it though.
Okay. Community development, our tool lending center. We've had 7 rentals this month. It is kind of starting to pick up. I'm getting more and more calls and questions about tools that we offer. So that is coming around. You know, I would probably look for it maybe to slow down a little bit as far as the outside tools, but majority of the tools that we've actually lent out have been indoor project stuff. So hopefully it keeps up steam and keeps rolling. We did a interview with Springfield Hub a couple weeks ago. Very nice article that they did. So as much as we could get that word out of what we're doing and what we have to offer for our citizens, the better. In economic development, we had a new business. I believe it opened this past weekend. I did not get a chance to stop by yet. Sparky's Meat, they're at 412 North Main Street. That is locally raised beef and pork and chicken. So they have, I believe, frozen meat available. So if you get a chance, stop in and say hi to them and welcome to the city. And that is all I got tonight. So I'll entertain any questions. I got to have at least one question.
Okay. Mr. Hutchinson, hey, thank you for the good report. I love these reports. I'm glad we got the software program. I'm glad your staff is utilizing the software program so it's full of content. So please keep it up. I think council appreciates the breakdown, especially on the code of violations breakdown. So thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. And Mr. Hutchinson, you are also free to go should you choose wish. And we will move on. Thank you. Move on with the city manager report and our fire chief trustee.
Evening, Vice Mayor, Council, and citizens. For the month of August, the New Carlisle Fire Division responded to 75 EMS calls in the city, 18 in Elizabeth Township. The division responded to four fire-related calls in the city and 1 in Elizabeth Township. We had 5 EMS calls answered by mutual aid, either by Pike Township or Bethel Clark, due to Medic 52 being on a response. We answered 2 mutual aid calls for Pike Township, and we answered 3 mutual aid calls for Bethel Clark. We have completed all hydrant flushings for the year. They're completed and done, and paperwork turned into the water. Only other thing that we got going is our station facelift project is just about completely done. I know a lot of people haven't been able to see it due to COVID, but we've replaced the floor from front to back of the station, repainted the entire inside of the station, gave it a little bit of a facelift, which was sorely needed. But other than that, that's about it. If any questions.
Mr. Bridge, I have one comment for the chief.
Yes, sir.
I think you and I had mentioned that I believe we still have the candy, don't we, from the Easter egg thing?
I would assume we still have that somewhere.
Yeah, we don't have it. I don't know where it's at, but we don't have it.
Oh, okay. Well, I just was thinking that if possible, why not give it to the fire department to pass out on Beggars Night?
Sounds good to me.
We will be doing that. We will be having crews out.
You froze up, Chief. Froze.
Yep.
And anyone that knows him, Assistant Chief Brick Ritter will be out with a battalion vehicle that night, and that probably will be his last official act with the fire division. He is retiring and moving out of the area. He will be with the division, City of New Carlisle, for 48 years.
Wow.
I think both Mr. Cobb and I have had the pleasure of serving with Ritter. And he's one whale of a gentleman, and his service will probably be well missed.
Sorely missed. Yes.
Is there a way that we can send him a letter of thanks and commendation?
We are planning to have a retirement ceremony for him at that time, and me and Mr. Bridge have already spoken about something coming from the city.
Okay.
Does council want to donate the Parks and Rec candy to the fire department?
So moved.
Thank you. You know where I'm getting at.
Second.
I would assume any other comments? If not, Mrs. Burner.
Okay. Councilwoman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Yes.
Motion to give the candy is approved.
Thank you.
Making notes, I'm sorry.
All right, back to you, Mr. Bridge.
What was that? 4 to 5, what was that count, Emily? I'm sorry.
5-0.
Thank you. All right, Fire Chief, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time. You two are excused should you choose with, sir, and please be safe. And moving on with the city manager report, we'll do the police report. Tonight I'm going to be verbal. I didn't have any information when I did the council packets, but I did get it sent to me this morning from the sheriff's office. So just bear with me for 1 second. All right, so for the police report, they 4,417 miles patrolled, 235 calls for service, 27 reports completed, 13 criminal arrests, 30 traffic stops, 735 business checks, and 254 citizen contacts. So that is the stats, but I do want to take a minute and update council. We did have one of our contracted deputies apply for and get a new position within the sheriff's office. So Deputy Blaything is no longer with us. So we do have a replacement. His name is Brandon McDuffie. Sorry, I couldn't read my own handwriting there. And he started on 8/31 of training. So he's around a 9-week training course. So he's expected to be done with training the first week in November. So while he is on the road training with Deputy Moody, we're actually only paying for 4 deputies instead of the 5, which is going to help our bottom year-end bottom line on that. I'm excited for Mr. Duffy. I met him. He seems like a very, very well-spoken, mature young man. So we want to welcome him to the new Carlisle Police Force. And if anything changes with that, I will definitely update council regarding our contracted deputies. We still are in the process of selecting a police administrator. I did send an email up to the sheriff's office requesting that Deputy Moody become our police administrator. We are going discussing that because their contracted deputies are unionized, such as our employees are unionized. So when there's a union contract involved, it kind of gets a little hard to put someone in there with less sorority that has any kind of supervisory task. So I am suggesting that Moody not have any tasks that would put people in trouble or write them up, but basically be the point of contact with me and he can do our schedules because he knows the ins and outs of New Carlisle, when crime happens, when crimes don't. I do not have a final answer back with that from the sheriff's office. Hopefully we can get that here in the next coming weeks. But as soon as information is supplied to me, of course, I will share it with council. But that's what's going on with their contracted deputies. A little bit of a shakeup there with the other deputies leaving and getting promoted. But we are in a training process with a replacement deputy. Any questions on the police items? No? Okay.
Moving right along.
We'll move along. And other items. A city building downtown, bids are going out here very soon. I actually have a meeting with our attorney, Jake, to kind of go over some final things. Once we have the bid, the legal ad out, I will definitely let council know. It is still a 3 to 4 week run time. And again, it says on the city manager report, it's currently in the final stages of attorney and staff review. So we're excited to get that up and going. Shelter house reservations. This was on last meeting's agenda as well. Just want to put it back on here. We have canceled for the 2020, and then we'll have to see how the next few months go before we start booking for probably 2021. CARES Act fund. City has received $45,910.65. We have a legislation piece on for that tonight. So I just want to kind of quickly go over with how the administration decided to use that money. So right now we have expended $45,835.77. That leaves a remaining balance of $74.84. And I can give you guys a breakdown. I know I'd give you category breakdowns, but on the labor side of things, we'll be getting reimbursed for $7,765. That is to cover the quarantine of a few employees. We won't give names out, but we had 1, 2, 3, 4 of us had the quarantine for possible exposure or possible symptoms. So we're getting that, we're funded. We also had to buy a lot of iPads this year. So we had budgeted out for council to have their iPads back in the 2020 appropriation. So we couldn't get reimbursed on those. However, because council decided to move to remote meetings, we had to subsequently go and get iPads for all the administrators. So we have got all those iPads being reimbursed. And we also had to recently go out and purchase 10 additional iPads for a planning board and board of zoning appeals members. Those two boards have not been active since COVID started. And we need them to get back in order for the planning department to continue on what his plans are, especially with the code rewrite. So again, we're getting reimbursed on every one of these iPad purchases as well. But equipment purchases was $14,948.98. And then we have our materials category, which was $3,948. And what that particular stuff was your sanitizing, your wipes, your Lysol sprays. We had to buy gloves, sanitizer by the gallons. So anytime you see anything material related, that's your sanitation efforts. It wasn't involved with a contract, which we'll get to here right now. The other subhead group the government wants us to report on is contracts. And our contracts, we spent $19,173.50. And I'd like to break that down for you. Out of that $19,173, $16,200 of it was actually, we signed a contract with a company, Midwest Commercial, and then they would come in and disinfect all of our buildings. So that'd be our wastewater plant, every building down there, our police station, our police cruisers, our shelter house, our city administration building, anywhere that we had employees working, they would come in and disinfect that. Again, we're getting reimbursed on that as well. We also did some work on the interior of the city building. We put a new glass window in for Angela. We're also going to add onto that glass wall and go down the side of the hallway, employee hallway. And that is totaled around $3,000 for those two minor improvements in the city hall. So that is all I have for the CARES breakdown. I'd be happy to take any questions with that. But I just wanted to reiterate for council, that is 100% free money because the government had sent us that. Anything that we're not going to use, we have to give back. And what they're going to do with that is they're going to filter it back out to the bigger cities who didn't get enough in the first time around. So I want to utilize as much of this as I possibly can before we just give away the money back to the bigger cities. We haven't been too crazy with the spending, to be honest with you. It's really just technology upgrades and then upgrades into our city building to protect our employees. So if any council have any questions on this, I would definitely entertain them. But if not, I'll move on. Yes, Mr. Grimm.
So there's about $75 out of that 45,000 that we haven't used.
$74.83, and I'm going to use it.
Okay.
Mr. Cobb, do you have your hand up, sir?
Yes, sir. You gonna use that money to buy the tables and chairs you were talking about at,
Yeah, no, unfortunately, we don't have enough of the funds left over from that. So one of the things we're going to be doing is keeping that and then seeing how the year ends up, because we actually have that money in our CIP for shelter house upgrades. But if we don't do it this year, it's going to be back in the 2021 budget and then the subsequent 21 CIP. There's just other things that we had to get, and I don't know if I can qualify using that to help spread the to help stop the coronavirus, because we're actually not really utilizing that building. Does that make sense? If we were in there every week then that's one thing, but it's been barren. We go in there for our staff meetings, but other than that, it's not open to the public. So I didn't want to get in trouble by the feds if we did that because it's not technically open. Any other questions with the CARES Act funding? Nope. Okay, so Mr. Vice Mayor, do you mind if I move on with the city manager report?
Go right ahead.
Thank you. The 2018 audit, all 2019 bank recs have been completed. The adjustments have been completed in our system. I think at the last meeting, I had said that we wanted another extension with the state, so we did get that. It is due at the end of this month. We actually have a meeting on tomorrow with the contractor that we hired to help with the bank recs to get everything all squared away. And again, there is a review. The state does a review period amongst themselves, and then once that review period is done, they will release it back to us and it becomes public information. So as soon as we have that 2019 audit in our possession, we will definitely pass it off to City Council. Waste management billing. I think I'd sent the email out to council maybe last week on this. I wanted to go ahead and put it in our packet. So I'm going to put this information on Facebook, but just in case people don't see it on Facebook, council approved the contract for waste management at the last meeting. Currently, waste management contracts ends December of this year. So I guess with how they do the billing, which it would have been normally October, November, and December, since we have a new contract starting in December with cheaper rates, they're actually only going to bill our residents for October and November, and then start the quarterly billing in 2021 with December, January, and February. So I just wanted to make sure that the citizens who are watching this would hear that information. Again, I will go ahead and put this on Facebook. Just in case you're wondering why your maybe bill would decrease for your last bill of 2020, is because it is a month short. And if you're wondering why your bill's cheaper for the first 3 months in 2020, it's because waste management actually reduced the rates. If anybody has any questions on that, just please go ahead and give us a call. Any questions on the waste management? Nope. Okay. I'm not hearing any. Let me get back to my spot here. I also put with the city manager report, we have our leaf pickup starting here soon. So I redid the flyer. I put that in there. That's going to go on Facebook and other means that we have available to notify our citizens. But the other one was pretty old and antiquated. So I made this one. It's not in color, but hopefully you guys have seen that. So that's packed full of information. So citizens, please look for that. And I also went ahead and put a copy of the fall utility bill newsletter in with the council packet. That's going to be mailed out with our water bills. So please take time to look at that. That's packed full of information. And the last thing is always the upcoming for the administration. We have our liability insurance renewal coming up, our health insurance renewal, our 2020-24 CIP, our final amendment on that, because council chose not to do any subsequent CIP purchases due to the COVID. And then we have our new CIP coming up relatively quickly, probably is going to be introduced at the next meeting on 2021-2025. So before I end my city manager report, I would like to request a special meeting next week at some point in time, whatever is convenient for majority of council, to go ahead and discuss the wastewater rate increase that we introduced tonight.
What is council's thought on a night next week?
I'm okay any night.
I think we're all used to Mondays.
Run that by me again, Dale. Monday and Friday's out.
We're all used to Mondays.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Works for me.
Fine with
Mr.
me.
Cobb, and Monday, all right?
I can work in anything.
Peggy?
Monday's fine.
Okay. Monday, 7 o'clock. Is that suitable?
Is it possible to do 6 to honor, so we don't have to have our administrative staff out with Mr. Kicko? Because I'm gonna have Mr. Kicko join us. Is 6 o'clock possibly okay? If not, it's fine. I'm just being courteous of our staff.
Rest of council, 6.
That's fine.
That's
Sure.
fine with me.
Okay, then do we want a motion for a special meeting on Monday,
So move the 28th,
28th at 6 p.m.?
6 p.m.
Second.
To discuss the wastewater rates, correct?
Any other discussion? And Mrs. Berner, I believe it's your up.
Okay, so I've got a motion from Nowakowski with a second by Eggleston to have a special meeting on September 28th at 6 p.m. to discuss wastewater rates, correct?
Yes.
All right. Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
All right. That motion's accepted 5-0.
All right, city manager's report, comments from the public. We got anything up there, Mr. Bridge?
We do. We have 3 questions from a citizen by the name of Brandon. I'm going to go to order of when he shot the email. So Brandon at gmail.com had said, this was at 6:22 p.m. When are they going to get the covers on the new street lights? Question mark, as they are very bright and a few people have been complaining about it. So council, I'll fill that one if you don't mind, because I think that would probably be better answered through this. The street lights are done, as we just discussed. I haven't heard of any plans to kind of put any covers on them. We chose to do the LED change out. Council wanted to entertain that because we got a really good deal on it. And then the whole project only cost the city around $9,000. But the point of that was to increase the lighting for security. So when we go to the LED lights, you're going to have a much brighter, clearer light opposed to the drawn out warm yellow light that we had before. But I haven't had any complaints on the brightness of them. We've had a lot of compliments on them, actually. So Brandon, what we'll do is we'll do a little research for you here. And we'll get back to you on a timely manner on that question. But early indication is I don't think we're going to have any kind of covers on them, but I also could be wrong as well. But we'll definitely get the information for you and we'll respond back to Brandon.
I'd like to comment on that. I got one email from a citizen and they were complaining about how it was much less bright than before.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. If they respond back to you, there's always a poll number on that light. Go ahead and get that number from us. And we can
Okay.
do that with Miami Valley Lighting. It could be very well that they missed one and it's still the dimmer one that we had. But we knew it was going to be a little brighter. I think all council and administration we did, but you know, the improvement that we have with that lighting, and especially in today's age of crimes, we have seen a vast improvement. We always like to hear feedback from our citizens, so that's good. Thank you, Brandon, for writing in on that. So the next email came at 6:35 p.m. from Brandon. I'm just going to read this out loud. I think it was maybe a comment just based off the work session. But he says, I believe there is a lack of communication with city and its people. I think the whole page of New Carlisle needs to be updated more often with a new banner of things going on. Like, for example, if there's an opening on city council, put it on the home page and things like that. Or since it was mentioned that you guys use Facebook, at least put a link to the Facebook page on the city website that everyone can navigate and find Facebook page. Brandon, that was a very good email. Vice Mayor, if you don't mind, I can go ahead and address his concerns with the website. So we are very close to actually unveiling a very new and improved website. We're actually getting the final stages of it now, and you're going to see a much more responsive, more modern looking web page to include a link to our Facebook page on there. We do put a lot of information on our city Facebook page, but it is really hard to navigate, especially if you're on a mobile phone, and we're very aware of that, which is half of the reason as to why we're upgrading it. So when you see the new and improved website, I think that a lot of our citizens and council is going to be very responsive to it. We've made some slight changes to it now as is, to where you can go and fill out a permit online and hit enter and it comes right to us. But this has been a long drawn out process. We wanted to actually launch the website when we opened the new city building. That got put off with COVID. So did the website, but we decided to actually go ahead and get that website done well in advance of the city building downtown. So that is actually only a few weeks away, Brandon. So thank you so much for the email on that as well. Anything for council on that? Nope.
Is that all you have, or we got another one?
We have got one more. from Brandon. This one came at 6:38 p.m. And he's like, also, I'm not sure how this is supposed to work, but I'm just emailing. So the times for the meeting should be updated as well. Everything says 7 p.m., but apparently this one started at 6 p.m. So Brandon, when we put the information out on Facebook, it says work session starts at 6 p.m. and then regular session starts at 7 p.m. So we actually have 2 different meetings on every other Monday. And the work session always usually begins at 6 o'clock unless there is something big going on, then we'll start it at 5:30. But all that is usually is updated through Facebook. We'll definitely try to improve that for you and see where we can better explain it. But just so everyone knows, again, 2 meetings on Monday, regular work session starts at 6 and then regular session starts at 7. That's all.
Okay, other than that, let's move on to the resolutions, which we have none. And Mrs. Berner, if you will start us off with ordinance 2020-30.
Yes, we have ordinance 2020-30, public hearing and action tonight, an ordinance amending chapter 240 citizens participation plan and chapter 246 employees generally of the codified ordinances of the city of New Carlisle for the purpose of adopting non-discrimination provisions for city employees of the city of New Carlisle.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Who got that?
Who was that?
I think it was Linda and then Peggy.
Nowakowski is first, Eggleston second. Okay.
And as this was explained in the work session, is there any other comments from members of council? Go ahead.
I have some questions. What some of these terms mean, just so I know what we're talking about. First one is gender. What do we mean by gender?
How you identify, male, female, is gender is gender.
So should words have gender, people have sex?
What? I didn't hear you.
Words have gender, people have sex.
Gender is a pretty common term that's been used for a long time. So I don't know how to explain gender to you other than male, female, or binary, however you want to identify yourself. But gender is gender.
Sexual orientation.
Mm-hmm.
What if that orientation is toward children?
That's not that is a mental illness. And we're not want to. Sexual orientation is who you choose to fall in love with or who you choose to build a life with. And building a life with a children or pedophile, as I think where this is going, does not include sexual orientation.
Yeah, it does. Harvard Medical School has said it's a sexual orientation. Several other organizations have said so.
Oh, well, I don't agree with that. It's kind of really insulting that you would assume that someone who identifies as homosexual like myself would also want to say that I include myself who want to have sex with children. That is one of the most ignorant things I have ever heard.
I did not say that, sir.
I don't understand how anyone with a common sense can equate sexual orientation to wanting to have sex with a minor. Sexual orientation is basically the terms of it. Do you want to have sex with a male or female?
Numerous respected organizations like the Harvard Medical School, they have come out and said pedophilia is a sexual orientation that more than likely cannot be changed. And there have been others.
Read that Harvard Medical School study. I'm not interested in reading that Harvard. I will speak on behalf of myself and other people who identify as homosexual. That's not an orientation. And I don't want to have this discussion on this. This does not really have to do with my personal opinion, but I'm going to sit there and say it's hard to sit there and swallow this conversation when you're talking to a guy who identifies as a homosexual. So I personally, everyone has their belief system. It is what it is, but everyone with a right common sense mind is going to know that orientation is not a pedophilia. That's insulting to a lot of people.
how would it be insulting?
I'm just-
Anything else, Mr. Grimm?
Thank you,
No.
Mr.
Anyone else?
You know, I only have one thing, and if I'm not mistaken, it involves transgender, correct, Mr. Bridge, is what that reading of that is?
Orientation is not a transgender thing.
Then I stand corrected, excuse me. I'm done.
Okay, anybody else? All right, you got a motion and a second. Mrs. Burner?
Okay. Vice Mayor Cook,
No.
Councilman Grimm,
No.
Councilwoman Noakowski.
You're
You're
muted.
muted.
You're muted, Linda.
Yes. The traffic on Main Street was getting loud.
Councilman Cobb,
I gotta go with no.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
that motion fails 2-3.
Mr. Vice Mayor, may I say something?
Be my guest.
I cannot believe that this thing has failed. We have an openly gay city manager who has done more for this city than anybody on this council. And you have you don't want to protect him.
Mrs. Eggleston, this is not about the city manager.
No, it's about non-discrimination.
Okay. And each one of the council members have the right to vote as they see fit. So at
Right,
that
you do.
point, the motion was defeated 3-2.
Let's just move on.
Go ahead, Miranda.
Okay. Ordinance 2020-34, public hearing and action tonight, an ordinance supplementing certain appropriations contained in New Carlisle City Ordinance 2020-12.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Does Mr. Cook get the second, Emily?
I heard Peggy say second
Okay.
Okay, that's
before I
fine.
heard Vice Mayor Cook. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
So an explanation of this ordinance, this is to appropriate for the CARES Act funding that we had got from the federal government to help combat and stop the spread of COVID-19.
Any other comments? Mrs. Burner?
Okay. Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noakowski, and you're muted.
Linda?
You're muted,
Muted,
Linda.
Linda.
You're muted.
Yes.
Councilman Cobb
Yes.
and Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
That motion's accepted 5-0. And the next three are read only this evening, so I will read through those. Ordinance 2020-35, introduction only, public hearing and action on 10/5/20. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Aaron Harder for the purpose of sludge removal. Ordinance 2020-36, introduction only, public hearing and action on 10/5/20. An ordinance supplementing certain appropriations contained in New Carlisle City Ordinance 2020-12. Ordinance 2020-37, introduction only, public hearing and action on 10/5/20. An ordinance amending Chapter 1042, Appendix A of the Codified Ordinances of the City of New Carlisle, Ohio regarding certain sewage system charges. Other business, we have, it looks like, additional city business to discuss of trick or treat and any other city-related items.
Okay, I think Dale, you've been working on the trick or treat. What's your take on this?
We got an email from, well, I put it up on Facebook for comments and they were overwhelmingly, yes, let's have it. And I got an email today from the sheriff that she has set trick or treat for Saturday, October 31st from 6 to 8.
Any comments from anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
also in that it was stated right now that it is for the 31st, but the Ohio Health Department can come in and make changes. And they're recommending that you do not have a big group with contact between the people passing out candy versus the kids coming to get candy. And they've recommended that no pre-cooked food in baggies be passed out.
So do I hear a motion that New Carlisle holds the bag on the 31st? With the stipulation that if the state of Ohio or the governor changes the program, that we will adjust accordingly?
I'd also like to see some kind of wording in there that deals with social distancing on this. Encouraging that people family groups stay 6 feet apart from each other.
And
that's already in.
Want to believe that COVID went away for an evening of trick or treating.
That's already in there by the state guidelines. And it's also said they wear masks, but they don't classify what type of mask.
What if we were to say that, yes, we'll have it the 31st, 6 to 8, following the state guidelines?
Question is, who's going to enforce it?
Mr. Cobb, why do you have to throw everything in?
Because I've done research on this.
Has anybody got anything further?
They're not enforcing it the way it is now, so why would they enforce it for Halloween?
So, Mrs. Berner, do we have a motion?
I heard a motion from Eggleston, right? And I did not hear a second. So I have a motion from Eggleston to have trick or treat on 10/31 from 6 to 8 following the state guidelines is what I wrote down.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Linda, second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? If not, Mrs. Berner.
Councilman Cobb,
Sustain.
Councilman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Nowakowski.
Yes.
That motion's accepted.
All right. Do we have any other city business that needs to be addressed?
Mrs. Berner, or whoever else may know this, what is the protocol once an ordinance fails? How long can it take before it's reintroduced?
30 days.
Uh,
I believe it's 90 days.
90 days. I'm sorry, you're right.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I
No.
guess I need a motion to excuse Mr. Lowry.
Motion.
So
to-
moved.
Mayor,
Was that a first by Nowakowski, a second by
Yes.
Cobb?
that's all right.
To excuse Mayor Lowry?
All right, any further? If not, Mrs. Berner.
Okay. Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb.
Yes.
That's a motion to excuse Mayor Lowry is accepted 5-0.
Move to
Anything
adjourn.
else? If not,
Mr. Grimm, move to adjourn.
Second.
Eggleston was the second. Alrighty, Councilman, Vice Mayor Cook,
yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn accepted 5-0.